In a previous video, you saw me put Pro Sweet feed on this hive. They're still a little light. I'm convinced they've got stores, and they've probably got enough stores, but it doesn't hurt on these warm days. We're shooting for a hive about 52, 54. It's roughly 36 to 42 right now. This box has got a good temperature inside. What I want to show you is this feeder. I don't want to be in here any longer than I have to, but if your bees get light and you have to feed them, and you're going to use a inside feeder and use a liquid, that liquid needs to be super thick. It can't be your spring 1-to-1. Even though the temperature may fall with this Pro Sweet feed, it is so thick it just thickens up. The bees will actually be able to get on top of it and walk and feed and utilize that on these warm days, because like I said, even though the temperature exterior is going to be 50s, low 50s, that sun beating on that box is pushing this interior temperature. That's what matters. These bees are still active in here. They're feeding, they're using winter stores. I'm going to show you how I want to feed these bees with the liquid, and then we're going to move out of it. We're going to try to do this as quickly as we can, and then I'm going to give you a couple other winter feed tips. Remember, this is the feeder. This feeder is already installed. It's on this side, it's against the wall. Going to open it up, we're going to refill it. So I'm not installing a feeder, it's already here. I want to get this off and out of the way. You're going to see, you may see this is just, you see the moisture that has accumulated here. You're going to see a little bit of dry mold. This is moisture that's due to the condensation. These bees are in here. They're still pretty tight clustered. I'm going to lay that over it. If I know you can't feel it on the video, but if you'll see these bees, see them coming up here to check on me, they got heat rushing out of that hole. We want to stop that, right? So we're going to slide this over their hole. That's going to catch their heat, hold their heat in the box. We're going to bust the inner cover loose. All I want to do is, I don't want to disturb them any more than I have to. I know where the feeder's at. Now, I'm going to scoop this over and expose that feeder. That feeder is dry. These bees are clustered out here. I don't want to be here very long. I'm letting heat out of that crack. You see how super thick this is. These bees will take advantage of this inside the hive. Okay, I can hear them revving up now. That we're losing heat. We don't want to be here long. That's the program on liquid. Set yourself up where you know where that, if I had had a deep feeder in the bottom box, I wouldn't have bothered this at all, any of it. I would have cracked this box loose, slid that super over, filled it right there. The reason I don't do that is with a jug, it's hard to give yourself enough room. The professionals, the guys that are out there making a living doing this, they got a tanker on their truck with a gas nozzle. Okay, totally different deal. This is how you need to do this if you got to do it in the winter. It's cold, but we've just taken care of them. They've got feed. We're gonna button them back up. Okay, we were there, I don't know, it couldn't have been long. Well, let's say that took us a minute and a half to do that entire feed. They're done, they're fed, I'm not worrying about it. That liquid's been in the shop, it's warm, it's on there, box is hot. They'll feed in it, not uncap those valuable stores. Let's do this.
Hey John,
Sir.
you told me before that bees didn't like black.
Correct.
You have black gloves on. What's up with that?
No, I didn't have any blue ones.
Well, we might need to get you some blue gloves.
You use what you got, right? What we're going to do with this box of bees, I'm going to show you another feed application. That application is Pro Winter. Available at the store. You can buy this stuff in bulk. I've used this now for about 6 years. It is a great feed. It is a high carbohydrate, has a certain percentage of essential oils. It has a percentage of protein. It's way better than feeding them sugar. Now, with that being said, sugar is perfectly fine to feed bees, and I'm going to show you a method to put that on your bees in just a moment. But for right now, I want to give you a insight into how I install this. If you read the directions, it's going to tell you totally opposite of what I'm going to show you. If you're a follow the directions person, by all means, do that. Where we're at in central Arkansas, we have temperature spikes. This morning it's 19. We're going to hit a high in the 50s. Tomorrow it's going to be even warmer than that. Our low is going to be around in the 30s. When it's doing this, peaks and valleys of temperatures, this stuff becomes close to liquid. It becomes pliable enough that it will move, it will spread and run and drip. If you read the directions, they're telling you to put an amount of this directly above the winter cluster. If you maintained a certain temperature all winter long, I honestly believe that's perfectly fine. Where you have these temperature spikes, I don't believe that. I don't recommend it to be fed that way. So I'm going to show you how I feed it, then you make the call. But this is a great feed. That's the bottom line. This is a very large colony of bees. These bees are stacked in here. They're still down in the deep. They're up into the mid. They have had a lot of honey, but they're getting light. I've checked this, the weight on this hive, and my brain tells me that the last time I lifted this, it was a lot heavier. It was just a block, could hardly move it off the stand. I'm going to show you how to install this, and they're going to have a little bit extra feed. It's simple. It's also fast and effective. The problem with a great big huge colony of bees, you immediately think, how can that be a problem? Because I got this big old box of bees, they're doing great. Okay, we just talked about we get these 2 and 3 and 4 days in a row warm, and then we're going to go right back to super cold. With that, these bees get out. They search for forage. When they come back with no nectar, they might get a little pollen, they may not. They come in, they're hungry. They're like us. We've worked all day. We've come in, we've found nothing to eat. We're going to eat. They uncap honey stores. They start feeding on it. They lighten those winter resources. Give them something to eat when they come back so that they have that honey in the box for that spring buildup. So let's put some feed on these, and I'm going to get me a brick handy. I want to be able to close that vent hole. They're up here, right here at the top. There's a little bit of wax at the top. I've scooted this block over to the edge of that vent hole. I'm slowing down further than, here's the vent hole. They're going to come up right there to eat. I'm going to put that right there. I'm doing this for two things. Right now I don't have bees pouring up out of there mad and I'm dealing with them. Number two, I'm holding heat in that box. It's important to do that. By doing this, I'm not breaking the seal on any of these boxes. I'm putting it up top. The temperature between the lid and this bee space will heat. This will stay pliable. These bees will eat this with their mandibles versus their spout and ingesting a cool liquid. So great way to feed. Let me show you what this looks like in the bucket. It literally looks like you've melted a sack of sugar babies, and that, you know, now they're in this goop in the bottom. What I do, there are people who really do a great job with winter feeding. They take their time. They'll stay in the kitchen. They'll dip this out with an ice cream scoop. They'll put approximately a pound of this on wax paper, put a mound in the middle, a piece of wax paper over top, and roll it out with the wife's rolling pin. Don't get it dirty, guys. It's just not worth that. But clean up your mess when you're done. They pre-make these patties. Super idea. As you can tell, I'm not that guy. It's amazing how long a small amount of this will last a colony of bees, especially if they do have honey stores. This is merely an insurance policy. We're getting this down. Our goal is to get this down roughly this thickness so that we're not holding up the lid. Now I'm holding that in the sun and you can already tell it's getting soft. It's already getting super pliable. I'm shooting for about 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick. I want this right here where these bees can find it. I'm going to kind of cheat this brick a little bit. I'm going to break a little over into that hole. Okay, we've got that thinned out. We haven't been here too awful long. Bees have already found it. If you'll notice, they're right here. These bees are already feeding. What I didn't want to do is let them get too involved with that before I get them capped off. That's how much they love this, and that's what keeps them out of those honey stores. And simple, quick, and easy. Relatively inexpensive, but I promise you this, it's cheaper than buying bees. Look at this, guys. We got the phone. Another wintertime feeding option. Comes with a few twists and tips and tricks of the trade. It's real simple, super simple. It's going to require I prefer a shallow super. It's going to require a hivetop feeder, granulated cane sugar, and a method in which to put this on the bees while keeping heat and bees in the box. In this box, we're actually going to be creating a void that we don't want. That's why we removed these supers late fall. If there wasn't anything in them, we don't want that empty attic space. That's where all your heat's going. it's not staying down here where your bees are clustered, keeping them warm and keeping that brood going. You're gonna get this. This is all gonna come to you as I do it. I'm gonna do it relatively slow, so that you see step by step how this happens. So bear with me. You've seen me lay those bricks down in the past to cover that interior hole. Great idea. I'm going to do something a little bit different to put this sugar application on them, and you'll see why. First thing I want to do is I want to prepare this feeder. This is a very simple feeder. It has a dome interior. It has a hole all the way through. The dome that protrudes is corrugated. It's rough interior, exterior. This is your feed well. If I were feeding liquid, I would probably do all this the same, with the exception of the insulation, and I would need this feed shield. What that does, that's a drowning eliminator. That's a beekeeper getting stung guard, okay? Bees are going to enter here from the frames or the portal on the inner cover. They're going to come up that corrugation. They're going to roll over behind this to wherever the liquid depth is, and they're going to circle this, and they're going to feed this down. Your liquid's going to come under the dome, and it's going to rise to a level about right there is where you would start, and they'll take it down. We're not feeding liquid. I told you all that in the event that you do, because this is a great feeder. It's going to double for winter. It's going to double spring and summer. So this is removed. We now have the open feeder. Corinne, I'm trying not, I know it's out of the kitchen. Trying not to get it dirty. You're going to put your sugar down inside your feed tray. There again, plain old white granulated, not powder, granulated cane sugar. I'm not concerned with the honeybees having enough stored honey at this moment. We're going to continually get warmer as we head towards February. When February gets here, it can be the game changer. You know, last year bees started swarming. I had a hive swarm here March the 2nd last year. Just wasn't supposed to happen. Wasn't ready for it. It was an unseasonable deal. Always strive to be ready for those types of things. I said that to say between now and March the 1st, these bees could starve to death due to population. Insurance, okay? It's an insurance policy. We're going to crack this lid. I've got a paper portfolio binder, just a plastic carry your drawings paper. Was laying around. I'm going to utilize it. We've got our feed installed into the feeder. We're going to put down the little portfolio over the keyhole. You can see it through this clear plastic. Okay, that's my target area for the bees to come up beside this frame and enter this feeder. Here's how this works. You take your feeder. We've got our sugar. We've removed the cup. It has a crosshair in the bottom. Put it down right there over that frame, center of the hole. Hold this in place. Pull that out. Your feeder is installed. Bees didn't pour up out of there. it's all good. It's setting over them right in the position we want it in. Okay, next step, we're going to create a heat loss chamber. If we don't do something about this, it's doing a couple things. It's sucking the heat up out of this box into this void, and the bees are losing that heat. So we're going to insulate it. We're going to do that with burlap sacks. Okay, these are relatively inexpensive. You can pick them up at most any feed stores. I purchased mine from our local co-op here in Russellville. You put down this insulation. Now not only is this making this top box warmer, the condensation that formed on this lid that's creating this mold, and right here you can see the water droplets. Okay, there's the water. That's what we're wanting to capture by a wicking method, which is our burlap. Burlap is cheap, bees are expensive. Mold will not hurt your bees. Don't be concerned. Okay, went ahead and cleaned that up because that's what we do as beekeepers. I'm going to allow 2 of these in this hive. That's going to really make this warmer, and it's going to help there again with that moisture. I'm not concerned with filling this box up. I'm concerned with keeping it warm around that feeder. That's where those bees are going to be doing their work. I want it to be warm for them. All right, this is a shallow super 10 frame. We've got our sugar in the feeder. We've got our feeder installed. We've got our insulating wicking material in. I think it'd be fine to use newspaper, crepe paper, whatever you've got available that will do what it is that we want to do. Now, as you can tell, we've got bees are really active this morning. So I'm going to close this up before I trap some bees that can't return. That is a very simple, effective method to feed these bees over winter. I could have done that with no suit. I don't recommend that. I never recommend that you go out here without that smoker smoking and your protective gear on. It just takes that one time that, you know, hey, I didn't see it coming. I'd done it 100 times and it ended up you know, getting me stung up, and it was a bad experience. All of these methods work. I hope you've learned something. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching me. And until you see us again, roll that beautiful bee footage. Thanks for watching.